Welcome to the David Spisak Show. I am so thankful that you've taken the time to join me. I want to make certain that I make great use of your time and I do everything possible to deliver a tremendous ROI. Listen, I oftentimes are talking about things from the perspective of a retail automotive dealer, retail automotive managers, salespeople, manufacturers in the business, and vendors in the business. But today, what I'm going to touch on really applies to anybody and everybody. Whether you're a student, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you have a franchise, you're a real estate broker, you're just starting off your first job, or whether you've been doing this for many, many years. And certainly, of course, also if you're in the dealership world. But let me just start out with this. We are about to get to the halfway point of this year. It's amazing. It seems like every year time literally does fly by faster and faster. And I know you're feeling that. I believe it's exacerbated or amplified rather by the fact that there are so many different distractions, so much going on in the world, so much innovation that's happening at, I won't say an alarming rate. Alarming would say that it's a bad thing. And maybe some people would say AI, perhaps, are we going towards the wrong direction societally? But I'm not here to comment on that right now. I'm just simply here to say that the rate of innovation, how quickly it's coming, and then how quickly the life is so short on it, how quickly it becomes obsolete. I've simply never seen anything like it before. But my main point here is the fact that time is flying by. And regardless of whether it's the end of a school year for you, whether you're going to be going from high school to college into the workforce, or you're just going to be the halfway point of your year in business, whether you're a salesperson, manager, car dealer, or any other vocation out there. It's time to take a look back, and more importantly, it's time to assess and figure out if you're not precisely where you'd like to be, if you're not there or well ahead of where you'd like to be by mid-year 2024, then you have to draw this conclusion. If you haven't gotten here by now, then it's highly unlikely that the back half of this year is going to be any different. And I don't want to sound negative. It's not a negative statement. It's a factual statement. And there's a big difference. Somebody who would say that's negative is somebody that I would assert has unreasonable expectation, perhaps is delusional in terms of what they're telling themselves. I see this with salespeople all the time where, hey, in a car dealership, they only have 5 cars out. It took them 25 days to get 5 cars out. And now it's the last 3, 4, 5 days of the month. Don't worry. I'm going to double that in the next 3 or 5 days. So let me get this straight. The plan, the regimen, the approach, the methodology, and the processes you used consistently that delivered 5 cars in the first 25 days, that very same proven system is going to somehow deliver the same number of cars in 1/5 the amount of time. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. And you shouldn't either. You know why? It's because it's a mistake that's going to cost you not just money, but more importantly, time. Warren Buffett said famously, and he said it many times, I've got more money than I could ever use, but I have the same amount of time as everybody on this earth, and I can't get any more. So he treats time like it's more precious than money. I'm in that vein. I'm in that camp. Don't get me wrong. Money's a big deal. Society demands that we make money so that we could support ourselves, support our families, hopefully support our communities and the world at large to some degree. Leave this place better than we found it. But regardless of what drives you, what your objectives are, why it's important you make money, the reality is life gets a whole lot easier and frankly a lot better when you can make a lot more of it. So if you happen to be in a situation where you are a business owner, you're a franchisee, you're somebody who gets paid variably. In other words, you're some type of a sales position. You could be an attorney in a law firm. Frankly, you could be a physician. Yep, they got paid on RVUs as well, how much they produce. But regardless, it's time to assess right now Well, it's not quite through the halfway point, David. I understand. So do you want to be in the starting blocks as everybody else just took off? You know, the Paris Olympics are coming soon. We're going to see many people lined up in starting blocks. And can you imagine you're one of those people? You're one of the 8. You work so hard to put yourself in that position. And as you're loosening up and you step into those blocks, everybody else took off. Well, that's not the way you'd want to do it. So why would you do that in your professional life? So let's start warming up. Let's get loose now. Let's figure out where we are through the end of May, right? And then let's make an assessment, an honest assessment of why we're here. Chances are really high that it is completely a byproduct of our approach, our process, our discipline, our consistency, our mentality, our outlook, our attitude. You know what's cool about all those words I just threw out there? You have jurisdiction on all of them. You literally control all of them. Doesn't matter what's going on with interest rates. Doesn't matter if the Feds are reducing or increasing. Consumer confidence is up or down. Who's going to win the election? Biden or Trump? Ugh. Can't believe those are the 2 finest choices we have out of 300 plus million people. But let's set that aside. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the economy is doing. Doesn't matter what your franchise is doing. This is on us. This is on you. So what I'm recommending, what I hope for you, is that you'll literally take the time, maybe even at the end of this podcast, maybe you'll put down the phone, whatever device you're using to listen. Maybe you'll pause. Maybe you'll pull out an electronic piece of paper, an old school piece of paper, and a pen, and you'll write down exactly where you are right now. If you're a business, we're talking net profit. That's the ultimate report card. If you're in sales, yep, that's your income. That's your ultimate report card. But whatever it is, write that number down. Take a hard look at it and say, okay, if I was to divide that by 5, multiply it times 12, would I be thrilled, ecstatic about it? Would I want to literally post about it? Would I want to tell everybody how I did it so they can learn how to do it? Would I be disappointed? Would I be underwhelmed? Or would I be absolutely flattened, pissed, upset that I'm that far behind where I thought I would be on January 1st when I said this is going to be my year? It's time to do something about it. We are all where we are right now in this moment because of seeds we sowed days, weeks, months, or even years ago. How long ago? It depends on when your plan was set in action. What does that mean, David? Well, what it means is, what if you've been doing the same thing that you do today and every day? You get up, you wake up, you go through the same morning regimen, you grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, you sit down, you read, or maybe you're the type of person that gets dressed first, then you go downstairs or you go out to your family room kitchen, sit down, you go through your regimen, then you show up at work and you rinse and repeat. You do the very same things every day. Have you been doing that for weeks? Then that's what I'm referring to. If you've been doing that for months or for years, that has literally been locking you into place. It's like the bumpers on a bowling alley. It's been like, on one hand, you could say it's safe, it's predictable, it's stable. I understand. But predictable and stable doesn't work very well if the results are underwhelming. If you're not happy with where you are, that works great. If you're a billionaire, boy, it's great. I've got lots of stability. Don't want to lose any of this money. Great, cool. That works. But if you're getting up to that point, if you're trying to get from where you are to a big level of stability and then big level of growth, and maybe you want to head towards being a millionaire if you haven't gotten to that point, right? Or a decamillionaire or a billionaire. None of those numbers are unimaginable, by the way. They're only unimaginable if they're unimaginable to us where we are. And you know what? It's kind of interesting that we will sometimes not be completely brutally honest with ourselves. At this point in the year, we'll say, don't worry, I can make it up. I'll be like that salesperson. The back half of the year will be 3 times as good. Will it? Was last year 3 times as good? The back half? So we'll paint that inaccurate picture of ourselves. But at the very same time, on the other end, we also oftentimes will limit ourselves by saying, oh man, billionaire, there's no chance. Why? You know, chances are the vast majority of billionaires out there in the world don't have an intellect or an IQ any higher than you do. Some of them definitely had head starts in life. Some of them had certain privileges. Great. Others didn't, though. And there are billionaires out there, as you know, good God, man, that are in their early 20s. Now, that doesn't mean if you're 30 or 35 or 40, you should be saying, man, I'm a complete and epic failure. You're not. You've just taken a different path. And maybe that wasn't in the front of your mind. And you know what? It doesn't have to be in the front of your mind now. It doesn't have to be just about money. Money, interestingly, is always the byproduct of what we do. It's interesting. People that chase fame rarely become famous. People that just chase money for the money rarely get money. So I want to attack this from a different perspective. I want to suggest or even recommend that you just look at your outcome and work your way backwards. Start from the happiness perspective. Are you happy? And if you're not happy, why not? Is it a lack of job satisfaction, lack of fulfillment? Is it because you're not making enough money? Can't cover your bills? Can't put enough money in the bank? Don't have enough to put the money aside that you want to for retirement or maybe for your kid's college fund? Maybe even go on a vacation? Those are all reasonable. Those things cause angst. They cause frustration. They can even cause anxiety. You know what helps stress? Doing something about it. You know what helps stress and anxiety? Knowing that you can exert some control. And listen, I'm not minimizing anxiety. Some are different than others. But if your anxiety comes from the fact that month after month, you literally feel like you're putting it all out there. You're working so freaking hard and you're not getting the results that you feel like you should. That's a different level of stress or anxiety. And there's something that you could do about it. And that is simply make a change. But in order to do that, it's really important to understand what got you here. Because making a change, making a shift of 15 degrees, changing 2 things without knowing what the outcome will be, that's only going to cost you more time and also provide more frustration. So here's what I would suggest. First of all, could you please just tell yourself that you're not going to be okay? You're not going to accept suboptimal performance from yourself. You're going to be fully committed to being disciplined, being intentional, being purposeful every single day because it matters. You're going to do everything within your power to eliminate or massively reduce disruptions and distractions. And yeah, you know what's funny? Most of those disruptions and distractions sounds like a negative word, but interestingly, oftentimes they're kind of fun. At least the perception is that. Maybe it's streaming, binge watching a show. Maybe it's online gaming. Maybe it's, going through social media. And you say, man, I just really need this distraction. I just want to ask yourself this. Do you? Some people like to stay up late past midnight. Somebody wise long ago said nothing good ever happens past midnight. Some of the most successful, high-performing people I know are in bed by 9 p.m. And you say, man, that's crazy. Could be up another 2 or 3 hours. You're right, you could. Or you could get up the next day 2 or 3 hours earlier. Now, think about that trade-off. You're trading off typically what is going to be the lowest productivity 2 or 3 hours of your day for the highest productivity 2 or 3 hours of your day. The difference between those two are not incremental. It's exponential in terms of your productivity. Your brain is at its peak. It's alert, it's open, it's ready. It's better prepared and more equipped to solve any challenge in the day than you could possibly take on at 11 o'clock or 12 midnight. So for starters, I want you to make that statement. Good is no longer good enough for me. I will no longer settle. I will be intentional. I will be purposeful. I will be the ultimate security guards person, what would you say, gatekeeper, if you will, against distractions and disruptions that will likely knock me off my path. I will also take the time to write down literally the things I do every day. You know, oftentimes when people really are dead serious about losing weight, they'll write down literally everything they ate for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or drank for during breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They do that because they want an exact calorie count. They want to understand fully what it's going to take in terms of adjusting their nutritional plan to be able to achieve their physical goals, their health goals. This is no different. This is the best time you could ever invest in yourself. Writing down everything you typically do. I don't want to know everything. It's not for me. But I want you to write down everything you do on a daily basis. If you did 2 or 3 things yesterday that were not of the norm, don't worry about it. But the things you do every day, during the course of your business life, during the course of your consumer life, when you're out there not making money, this is important because if you're not making money, chances are somehow, some way, you're spending money, you're leaking money, or even hemorrhaging money. So once you write those things down, I want you to really try to prioritize them in terms of which ones have a plus sign to where they can have some kind of positive impact on where you want to go, and which ones are negative. And the ones that are negative, I simply want you to do what Jim Rohn, one of the greatest speakers I ever had the opportunity to listen to, what he would tell you to do. In his video, I think it was called The Best Year Ever, Best Year of Your Life or Best Year Ever. If you could find that on YouTube, find it, and watch it every single month, your life will get instantly better. But if he was sitting here right now, he would say, take 2 or 3 of the worst things off that list and replace them with 2 or 3 incredibly positive, impactful intentions, and then commit to doing them every single day. And I can promise you that not next year, not 6 months from now, but 1 month from now, you're going to feel it. It's not going to be like signing up for a gym membership and you go for 3 weeks and walk on the elliptical while you're reading a magazine or reading a book, and a month later you look at yourself in the mirror and it looks like nothing happened. This is different. You're going to feel it. You're literally going to feel the shift in direction, the shift in energy, the reduction in stress, the increased excitement and enthusiasm, and that you're going to go from being back on your heels to leaning forward, and you should, because that's going to put you in the position to put you in those proverbial starting blocks to be ready to launch forward into the last half of this year and be in the position to win. Go out and do that. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If you love what you've heard and you know somebody who would benefit, please take the time to share. Feel free to make a review, leave a review. I love all of them. Could be good, bad, or ugly. I learn from them all. And take the time, please, if you'd be so kind, to download and subscribe. But most of all, I just want to thank you again for your time. I hope I delivered on my intention to give you value. And I look forward to seeing you next time on the David Spisak Show. Thanks so much.